Good morning. This is Paranormal Science Lab Live. This is Lisa.
Kathy. Jackie.
And we are sitting in the Kendrick House in Carthage, Missouri. Very beautiful antebellum home that is the oldest standing residence in the region, built in 1849, and one of very few to survive the burnings in the Civil War in this area. And the fact that it's sitting here empty is sort of ironic with our topic. We're going to talk about several things today, but we're leading off with urban exploring versus paranormal investigation and the effect that one has on the other. The difference is when we're sitting here today talking, and when we investigate places like this that are, no one's living in them right now. This is a living museum. We have permission.
Yeah, we have a key.
We have a key, but I see more and more the phenomena of urban exploring, which used to be sort of, on the down low, no one talked about.
Right.
It was a thrill-seeking thing. People glorifying it now, and I think, maybe part of it's because some of the shows they see on TV, whether it's paranormal or
ability to do it with social media.
Right. And it's much easier to broadcast, hey, look what I'm doing. And, and now they all think they're Joshua Gates or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
But guess what? He gets permission.
Yeah, I'm sure he has lots of permission and permits and all that fun stuff.
Exactly. But I know we've noticed here, even locally, some people who are really glorifying what they're doing, and even in the midst of their broadcasts will say, I wonder who owns this. I wonder, and here they are walking through people's properties and so forth. And the sad thing is, I think some of them do it for thrills. Some of them, I think they're doing, I'm documenting this. This is for history or photography or whatever's going on. But to be honest, they're really hurting their own case in the long run, I think.
And they're hurting the whole industry of ghost hunting, which is a new, basically, industry. Mm-hmm. And we already have a lot of things going against us as far as the technology to recreate imaging mm-hmm. and, all that stuff that is keeping up with our technology, the mm-hmm. fakery.
Right.
And so we really don't need help in discrediting paranormal investigations.
Right. But I think it, and it hurts others who specialize in, really showcasing abandoned property or historical sites because, they don't, people don't know. Are you really here to photograph it and make a photo essay or whatever? Are you here to snoop and go through and take souvenirs and steal and that kind of thing?
Or vandalize.
Mm-hmm. I think part of the problem is it erodes the sense of boundaries that, hey, wait a minute. This isn't your property. You can't just, because you're driving down the road and say, that house looks empty. It's mine to do whatever
I want with. Yeah.
Exactly. And then there's been some prominent cases in the last year or two where people going into places saying that they're paranormal investigators, and then, something happens. Historic locations burning. There's been a couple of them in the last couple of years, things like that. And, I think everyone who watches the broadcasts and everything on YouTube or wherever, they're getting that vicarious thrill of, oh, cool, isn't that cool? And, and all it does is, tell these people, go do this more.
Yeah.
And it's, it hurts people who are really trying to do something the right way.
Yeah.
It has a chilling effect on, what people are, I don't know whether or not they want people on their property, that kind of thing. Who can they trust? Who can they not?
The fact is, it could be very dangerous as well.
Well, that's true.
Because the abandoned buildings are abandoned, and who knows how safe they are. First of all, you've got asbestos pollution in the air,
mold,
unsteady floors, unsafe stairwells, things of that nature. I grew up back east where there was a lot of abandoned old farmhouses, barns, things of that nature. And when I was a little kid, my dad used to warn me. He would say, if you come across, because I would wander off into the woods like I do now, and he would say, if you come across an abandoned barn or something like that, don't go into it. A lot of times they have underground cellars below the ground, and you could fall through the floor and find yourself trapped and nobody knows where you are, and you could be stuck in there.
Exactly, or fall and break a leg or something.
Yeah, and these are things people don't always really think about. Not only that, but you have homeless people, vagrants. You could have any kind of...
Well, and around here, in a lot of places, but, we've had this happen in locations where, we work with owners closely. Even, you get people breaking in and squatters, and doing drugs. Even a couple of occasions where came across where they were cooking meth and
you stumble
calling
across
the police.
Somebody's drug lab, you could find yourself in a very precarious situation.
Exactly, and so those things have happened. Actually, I had to call the police before. So, that's something that's a whole different issue.
Ghosts aren't anywhere near as scary as
the living. Yeah.
I don't want to stumble across somebody in one of our locations that's squatting in there. That would be very scary.
Exactly. Have done it in a couple different locations, and and we actually try to follow certain procedures when dealing with that kind of thing. But it just amazes me people who really are just out thrill seeking. I think it really, urban exploring has always been a thing, but glorifying it, I think, started with geocaching. And I think people say, oh, it's all okay, and we're not actually trespassing, we're just finding locations, and it just seems to go further and further.
Yeah.
And, but, we've had to run people off our family land before, because I don't know, they just get the idea, I can do whatever I want, and it's dangerous. And even though it looks like, oh, cool video, I'm going to watch it and tell this guy, hey, that's really cool, can't wait for more, it's not necessarily a good thing.
No, it's not. It's not good for the industry. It's not good for anything. It's really not good.
Right.
Stumble onto my property and start filming, and I see it on YouTube, you're going to be in some serious trouble.
Exactly, and that has happened in situations I know of where they've posted it. And
I know they post stuff, and they're like, "Look at me, I'm trespassing." And you're like, "Wow, okay."
And I do know situations where they've actually been threatened with a lot of legal action when the owners found out. So
there was a place where we used to go to. It was an old railroad bridge, concrete railroad bridge, and we used to go climb down into the, what are those at the top? The circular drainage ditches,
right?
Drainage holes, and we'd climb down the ladder and go down into the guts of the big railroad bridges and stuff. And when we were younger, and then I just found out recently that a young girl was really hurt badly in there. That she and I know exactly where she was, and she tried to make this jump and she didn't make it. And she fell down into a big hole, and she broke her ankle and her leg, and then they had to get all kinds of rescue teams in there to get her out. And now that's why
it's illegal to be on railroad property. Period.
Yeah, that's why you're not supposed to be there. And now it's all fenced off, and you can't get anywhere near it.
Yeah,
but it's dangerous. It's dangerous. You shouldn't be there. That girl could have been killed.
People, really need to, if you want to do those things, you really need to get permission. And, the owners need to know, need to sanction it. A lot of times, depending on locations, law enforcement's informed, maybe permits, etc. And don't cut corners, because it's, it makes it bad for everybody. And, it's just not good. Now, you brought up something earlier that kind of made me think, and that was about fakery and so forth, and the technology to make things look real. And that is something that we deal with all the time. I just watched a video this morning. It was actually the UFO, and and it looked very, very realistic. But I just kept thinking, it looked.
Lars and I did an amazing UFO video one time. We were traveling down Route 66. We were doing the Route 66 tour to California. We live in southwestern Missouri near Joplin. And so we drove out to California, and on our trip across the desert, we got just a little mud speck on the windshield. And I was filming the mountains, and when I was filming the mountains, when I reviewed the tape, that little mud speck on the windshield, I'll be damned, it looked just like I was filming a UFO floating over the mountains, and then it would just zoom off to that side and zoom off to that side. And I said to him, I could probably put that on YouTube and pass that off as a legitimate UFO sign, because that is exactly what it looked like. Mm-hmm. And all it was a speck of mud on the windshield.
Well, and that's the thing is people, I think people start watching things, and, on the internet of all places, people, and they just take everything at face value, not even question themselves of, okay, what are other possibilities, etc. But it does make it, it does make it kind of bad, because there are those that will put more effort into faking something than trying to actually get something
like real.
Documented.
Yeah, well, it takes a lot of effort to get something documented.
That's true.
We're here to contest that. We're in a building right now where we have documented legitimate activity, some really, really great evidence, which you could see on our website and on YouTube. Just in this room that we're sitting in. We're sitting here right now. We could sit here all day and not see or hear anything. But we know there's activity here. I mean, it takes a lot of effort to document, a lot of time, even if you're in a location that has activity, So it's frustrating, and it can be challenging. And if you have the technology to just go online and make something and say, ooh, look what I made, But it's bad for everybody. Bad for the industry. It is.
Now something else that's going on in the last few months is sort of the flip side of that lots of people are reporting it around the country, but no explanation, and there's no video or audio that I'm aware of. But these unusual, mysterious explosion sounds, and it seems to be a little different than the trumpet horn sounds that we've, it's been investigated for years, and people assert are related to the HAARP program up in Alaska and everything.
Yeah.
But the atmospheric tests. But, it's a series of what seems to be explosions that people think are underground or almost seismic or whatever, but there's no evidence that there's seismic activity. And
I, in fact, have heard them. I know recently they were reported as actually reported in Wichita, which isn't
that was just yesterday.
But I have actually heard them. I haven't been able to document it because you never know when you're going to hear it. But I've heard that type of thing. And in fact, Lars one time got up in the middle of the night and went outside with a gun and the dogs to go see, he thought there was something going on outside, but it was, we have no explanation for what was doing that.
Well, and the interesting thing is it's also happening across the country. It's not localized. I mean, it's happened on the East Coast. It's happened on the West Coast. I mean, even comments I've seen just in the last couple of days, everything from, literally New England to California, and
it's very eerie when you hear it, because it's really, it sounds like a really large explosion that, you're just catching the glimpse of. When I heard it in the nighttime, it sounded like, my first thought was that we had some terrorist activity happening around the country. I really thought that somebody was dropping bombs.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, it really sounded that much like, wow.
That was my first thought, was oh my gosh, that we're being bombed. And, and Lars, the dogs all were barking and everything like that. We have no idea what it could have possibly have been.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't heard it myself. I've heard people say that they've heard these things in our area besides you too. but I haven't caught it. But everyone kind of describes it exactly the same way. And if it were just in this region, I'd say maybe it was dealing with all the fracking or something and all the seismic activity in Oklahoma, but which is, you have to wonder if it doesn't have to do with drilling. But,
well, Lars has a theory that it has something to do with taking the oil out of the ground.
yeah, fracking, yeah.
Well, that's the natural gas too, but he's like, that stuff, maybe it's supposed to be there, like when you oil machinery, lubrication for, friction. That there's obviously friction happening under the surface of our planet in the different layers, and maybe the oil is supposed to be there.
Well, maybe it could. Well, obviously, the voids it's in, it would keep things from having as much friction, I would think.
And so that's his theory about some of that stuff.
Yeah.
And so
but fracking applies to petroleum as well as natural gas, and that's the big thing in the Dakotas now, where they had the oil boom. Is now they're finding that's the problem. And they've been talking about it in Oklahoma too. So.
I mean, I really think, I don't know that I actually accredit it to anything paranormal or supernatural.
No, I think,
but I do think it's very mysterious.
It's unexplained,
and possibly way more detrimental than something that would be supernatural or paranormal. I'd almost like to believe that it was paranormal or supernatural, because if it's not, then there's something seriously happening below the surface of our planet.
Exactly.
And that's kind of scary to think about.
And of course, I mean, there is geologic change, always has been, but, I think, of course, now this is the first time we've been around with a lot of communication between ourselves and everything to
spread the word.
So we're more aware of these things. Yeah. I think so too. Yeah.
Okay, that could have been happening forever. Nobody had the ability to spread the word that it was happening.
Or just didn't pay any attention to it. Just say, "Oh, it's the Earth,"
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, people are hearing it and paying attention.
You ever heard it?
No.
The loud bangs?
No, but I could sleep through a train.
That's true.
So.
You could sleep through a train. A child could sleep through anything.
Well, we were going to talk a little bit about animal spirits, I think.
Yeah,
right?
Jackie wanted to talk a little bit about animal spirits because the house that she babysits in, she's been getting scared there.
Well, recently, the girl I babysit for, her roommate's dog died. And I can swear, they have another dog. I have the dog sitting on my lap. It's a puppy. And I will hear a dog walking around in their kitchen on the linoleum. And I'm like, all right, Zeke, chill. You're freaking me out.
Well, and I mean, I think that's entirely possible. I mean, I think anything that is alive potentially can have
I do
spirit.
believe that area that the house sits on has some paranormal activity, because before Zeke died, she was experiencing. I remember I called you one night and said, I have to go because Jackie is sitting in the car with the baby because she went outside of the house and sat in the car.
This is what happened, okay? I walked down the hallway. I didn't close the bathroom door. The bathroom door was open when I left the hallway. And the baby got sick and I had to give him a bath. He was in bed. I had to give him a bath. And I walked down the hallway and I was like, the bathroom door was closed. And I was like, okay, whatever, it's fine. I'll just open it. And I opened it, and I decided to walk back down the hallway and ask the baby's mom if I could give him a bath. So she said, yeah. I walked back down the hallway. The bathroom door is shut, and the knob won't turn, and it's locked. It will not open. So I put the baby, I wrapped him up in one of his mom's shirts, and I ran outside to my car, and I called his mom.
This is my daughter, and I'm a paranormal investigator with Lisa's group. My daughter is a part of the group, and she's trying to conquer her innate fears of spiritual
activity. I called his mom, and his mom thought that somebody was in the house. So
you would wonder, So
then she was like, just put him in the car, sit in the car with him, and call your mom. So I called my mom, and she came. And in that time, her roommate showed up, and her roommate was sitting in my car with me.
She was scared to go in the house, so she sat in the car with her.
We were all sitting in my car until my mom got there. And
I get there, and there's 2 teenage girls and a baby sitting in the car outside of the house because they're scared to go inside.
Yeah.
And when I went in, the bathroom door was open.
Really? Well, certainly, it might be something. Of course, it could just be a funky door lock, but if it hasn't done that in the past, then it makes you wonder.
Yeah, so she thinks that the dog,
what his mother said was, she said that bathroom door doesn't close all the way or lock.
So that's interesting because she said it was closed and locked.
Well, that is interesting. So
it was almost like somebody was holding onto the door handle from the other side.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So she doesn't like to be there by herself. And,
I don't blame
Megan, the mom of the baby, said, that kind of stuff just happens there at our house. She's like, yeah, that's the house. It's weird. Stuff happens.
Okay.
So, yeah. It's kind of along the lines of a lot of our investigations lately of private residences. Mm-hmm. We've been doing quite a few private residences lately, and I don't know if it seems like that kind of activity is picking up or if it's just that people are getting more apt to call and report it.
And, sometimes it seems like it goes in cycles, and there's not necessarily a pattern, but, sometimes it is just a matter of when someone says, okay, I want to know more, I want to deal with it, because a lot of people will just sweep it under the rug or just ignore it or, keep it secret type thing, even if they are pretty sure that they have some pretty strong activity.
But this place is creepy already because it's like by itself down the end of a lane. It almost looks like the beginning of a scary movie to begin with, It's like,
oh, yeah.
You feel like you're just driving into
just need the music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, to begin with, it's kind of creepy. And it's in an area where there was Civil War activity outside of Sarcoxy in that area. And not in the city limits. It's actually in Lawrence County.
Oh, yeah.
But, who knows what kind of history there has been on that land.
Oh, and yeah, so, definitely.
There's no telling. Obviously, it's not that old of a home, but there's definitely something going on there. When you hear a dog in the kitchen and there's no dog in the kitchen.
Yeah. Well, he may just be sticking around looking after everyone, but
that's true.
Yeah. He wasn't very old either. He was a pretty young dog, so it sounds like when they had him, in the kitchen, he's just walking around.
Yeah. Well, as far as animals, we get in our head that everything crosses over or they don't have a spirit or whatever, but we don't really understand what we know what consciousness is, but we don't know how it works per se or
and if you start thinking that humans have a soul and we know for a fact that there's more to life than death, and so then you start thinking, well, our beloved pets, our cats and our dogs have a soul. That opens a whole new window to all animals have consciousness. And so do you think that every animal that's slaughtered for food has a soul and a spirit? And
I do. I think it's human arrogance to say otherwise.
I agree. And so that sort of comes into an area that a lot of people, I think, don't really want to think about.
There's actually, I read an article on a study a few weeks ago that they're beginning to be able to document that they think plants have consciousness.
Absolutely. I'm an herbalist, and I went to school for 2 years and for herbal studies, and one of our sections that we studied was the secret language of plants. And really, honestly, there is so much to that. That's a whole nother humongous topic of the secret language of plants. There's so much to learn about there, and if you really want to, I think there's actually a book, and that's what it's called, The Secret Language of Plants. I don't remember the author, but there's some documentaries on Netflix and stuff like that about that sort of topic, and Let me tell you, it would do you all well to kind of learn a little bit about that because, first of all, it will help you understand the living world that you are in.
Right.
Because I think understanding the living world that you are in is helpful to everybody to know what's happening around you.
Right, and I think too many people anymore just feel like that humans are just sort of planted into this world and we're completely separate from it.
Yeah.
But it's...
Because when I explain to people some things about what's happening in your own yard, with your plants, with your woods, and I explain to them how these plants aren't just here by mistake, that these are certain types of plants, and these plants are told to come here, and there's warrior plants, there's health plants, there's all kinds of different levels of plants, and they all communicate with each other, and they're like, wow, I never even thought of that kind of thing, Poison ivy just doesn't show up at the edge of your yard for no reason. You don't really see it in the deep woods, so, think about that. Thorn bushes and stuff like that. So there's a lot to it. It's really, really an interesting topic, and once you sort of start to understand how the plants work, it really gives a lot of information. And a lot of those weeds that grow in your yard are there for you.
Yeah.
And then you kill them and mow them, and they're just there trying to help you. But
Well,
I'm kind of
exactly.
a crazy herbal lady, so,
Yeah, she'll talk about the consciousness of plants, but she won't let me get a snake.
Nope, no snakes in the house.
I can't say I really blame her.
I don't
She
really.
barely let me get a mouse.
Oh.
Oh, well, I bought some mice for a specific purpose of a specific thing that I had to feed, which I'm not going to talk about. But anyway, one of them ended up a pet in my daughter's bedroom. So,
Sorry.
I love him.
and she loves him.
I'm not good with mice.
Me
He has
either.
a conscience.
I'm not saying he doesn't. I just don't want him in my house.
He'll be my ghost mouse when he dies.
She saved him. He got a respite, so he's okay now.
It just made me think of the Green Mile.
Yeah, with the little mouse.
Mhm.
Yeah, and live forever.
Mm-hmm. She gives me this strange look, and it's like,
She doesn't know that movie.
I don't know.
My daughter is 17, so that's probably before her time.
yeah. But movie or the butch, yeah. I mean, it's like, yeah. I just don't do mice. I'm sorry. I mean, I don't have anything against them. I just don't want them in my house.
I really am surprised because she can pick it up and hold it in her hand and pet it, and it doesn't bite her. Because I said to her, if it bites you, it's gone.
Mhm.
That's it. No mouse. And she's like, look, Mommy, it's nice. And she can hold him, and I'm like, I have to admit, I actually have touched it. That's as far as I'm going.
Looks like I'm as bad as a mousetrap.
I'm not
How
off for
many
mice as
ghost
pets
mice
either.
do you think you have in your house?
We have quite a few.
Yeah,
Ghost
we do.
mice.
I don't doubt that. I just don't want them in my. I just don't want them running around my house.
Ghost mice don't spread diseases. Live mice do.
Mm-hmm.
But I still love them.
Well, that's fine. Let them out in the yard. It's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
We've kind of gotten far afield here.
Yeah, we did. We got off track. We got on to mice, but
So what else? Anything that you've been noticing, as far as topics, that kind of thing that interest you? That
I'm still experiencing the same kind of phenomena that I was having up on the top property on the trail that we refer to as the haunted trail. Still kind of encountering some of that strange, what we believe now might be elemental activity. See
Might
something
be.
over there?
yeah, I thought I saw something moving.
I wouldn't be surprised. That room is really...
Oh yeah,
Probably
what is
a
it?
mouse. Heard you
So
talking
it's-
about it.
So it's a 4-foot mouse.
So we have a section of our land that we refer to as the haunted trail. And we have quite a large section of land, and we don't have any of that activity on the rest of the property, just in this one area. So it kind of makes you wonder what's going on. But I've been talking to Lisa a little bit about some of the activity that's happening up there, and we've come to determine that we think it might be elemental activity.
It might.
It could be anything, really. I mean, we've had Native American history there. We've had Civil War history there. And I think we do have some of that on our property, no doubt. But I don't think that's exactly what's happening on the haunted trail. I do think it falls more under the trickster.
Right.
This little thing that likes to take your cell phone or make your machinery break down and, and then hide things from you and then show them up again. And the eeriest thing that happened was about a month ago when I heard myself calling my dog.
Did you make those tapping noises?
No, I thought that
It was my hand on the chair, I think. Is that what you heard?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's my fingers on the chair.
We did a whole podcast about that.
Yeah. And so I'm still getting that sort of thing. But other than that, really, have you had any other
I
experiences?
haven't gone up there.
In the house or on the property?
I hear music
Oh, she hears classical music.
all the time outside my window. Like, I have to sleep with my window open or I'll die. And I hear music. I hear classical music outside my window, and I'm just like, okay. Okay.
No chance it's just, carrying in from somewhere?
Not from where we live.
No, we live far back off the road, far from any neighbors. And
that's interesting.
yeah.
The only people who live near us are Lars's parents, and they're in their 70s. And, they don't live close enough that we would hear their music either. Hearing footsteps up there? I heard it too. We're getting a little bit of footsteps upstairs. Wonder if it was picked up on there.
I don't know. I'm not sure how sensitive that mic is,
But once the weather warms up a little bit, we're going to do a little bit of an investigation up there. I was going to have you today, but I don't think I was well enough to walk around up on the trail today.
You've been sick, so we need to do another time.
Too cold today.
Yeah. Any what are you seeing people talking about in the field that is of interest or curious or anything? Notice anything?
Really, a lot of what you were just talking about is the people going into private property and filming it, and that's really what I've been seeing a lot of. Number one, even if you capture something in that situation, it's not going to be legitimate.
Right.
You could capture the best piece of evidence ever in the paranormal world, but you were trespassing and you were somewhere where you didn't belong.
And don't have permission to use it.
Yeah, so I mean, what is the point?
And then you can't. Then you don't have the relationship, and you've just ruined the possibility for it in order to go back and get permission to try to get additional evidence to support it. So
it's I've been seeing so much of that on YouTube, and when you look at paranormal type things, but. No, I really think that's what's been the most common is that and the booms that people have been hearing.
Yeah.
Been seeing a lot of that on social media. I really wish that, it would be easier to catch something like that. I don't know how you could possibly do unless you ran like a 24-hour.
Yeah, that's about all you could do.
And then listen to it. When would you listen to it if you were running it 24/7?
Exactly. It's like I've thought about setting up, we've discussed setting up and running continuous feeds here, but again, it's just with everyone.
So cool because that there's activity in this house with a lot of people here. When we came in today, we did a little bit of a periscope, but we didn't mention it on the podcast. When we came in today, the interior doors of this house were all closed, which is not the normal way that this house is kept.
Right.
The interior doors are always kept open, and especially now at the winter with the heat on, there'd be no reason to close the interior doors because you want to keep all of the rooms warm. And
there's vents in all the rooms, so they're
there's
run
vents
anyway.
in all the rooms, and so
and you can't turn them off either.
We've come to this location, dozens, probably Lisa, maybe hundreds of times, and never seen the interior doors closed. So it was so to have them all closed was really uncommon.
And one of them latched.
One of them was latched shut, and I had to really tug it to pull it open.
Yeah.
So that slammed shut.
Yeah.
That was not something that just closed by itself. And there's no no, this house is very sturdy.
Yeah.
So it's not like this is not
I've never seen doors open and close here,
Yeah.
and they never, move.
sway with the wind, or
No.
even if you open the outside doors, these doors are heavy.
Yeah,
They're real wood, heavy doors. They're not gonna just move.
and they don't swing at all. So
that was really definitely something that we noticed right away when we came in today.
well, one thing that we ought to talk about is next week
Yes.
we are out of our hiatus, and we'll be at the Prosperity School Bed and Breakfast with a public tour and ghost hunt.
Yeah.
And so anyone in the Midwest who's wanting to come out for that, you're more than welcome to check out the posts on Facebook, the website, email us, call us, etc. We are going to have a good time there. It's usually an interesting place.
Yeah, we get a lot of activity there. It's not always the typical activity. All of our locations have different types of activities.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Prosperity, from my experience, a lot of people get personal activity. Like
Yeah.
it's not always something that we are able to catch on our equipment, but a lot of people get personal experiences in
Mm-hmm.
that location. Feelings, touched. Jackie has felt her hair tugged.
But that's one of the only places that I can count on it. I
Yeah.
go there and something's moving my hair and touching my back, and
And maybe because there were so many kids there, I don't
Yeah.
know. But and again, we there it was a mining community, and there's indication that if there were accidents or so forth, they were brought to the school to be cared for, and then there was Civil War activity in the area and so forth. So there's a lot of varied history right there. So you don't even really know what all comes up, but there seems to be activity related to the early schoolhouse. There seems to be Civil War activity there at times.
But it's a really fun, comfortable, and really beautiful location.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really nice place to go and do an investigation.
And if you guys like it, you can always book a room and stay
Yeah,
overnight.
it's a bed and breakfast.
And it's a bed and breakfast ongoing, and each of the suites have activities. So, if you've been to the Crescent or the Stanley, that kind of thing, this is a smaller venue that has very similar experiences and is off the beaten path a little bit. Not quite as beat to death with people looking for ghosts, which I find interesting.
And I think it would be very uncommon to spend a night or two there and not have some kind of personal experience, because
Oh, yeah.
you can be there for just a couple of hours and have personal experience. So
And shadow people are common there
Yeah.
and so forth. So,
it's a really nice location.
anyone that's interested, it's $20 for the ghost hunting tour, $5 for kids under 14, and proceeds go to support the location too. They use it for just upkeep and so forth. So
Yeah, it goes towards helping keep the location going.
just things that maintenance, things that need to be done. That's what they use the money for. So it all goes to a good cause, and it's a very historic building, and it represents a piece of America that we don't see anymore.
Yeah.
The small schoolhouse,
Yeah, which is really nice.
but not the it's actually brick and a little more substantial than a lot of them, but the same atmosphere and feel. So we encourage everyone to come out and have a good time. Anything that you guys want to add, or?
No, I don't think I have anything about you.
Okay, we'll talk at you guys next week, and have a good week. And if you come across something interesting, message us, and we'll talk about it. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.